Today's story, we call the woman who brought alabaster jar of very expensive perfume. You heard about this story many times, right? You don't know about this woman, right? And actually, all four books of the Gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John is reporting about her. You know the Matthew, Mark, Luke, John about Jesus' life. Very uniquely, they report about Jesus' life and ministry. And they don't actually report the story all four books. For some stories, some teaching is only one book or two books or three books, but it's very rare. All four books reporting one thing, though they are a little different, but they're reporting anyway. So all four books, as you can see, Matthew chapter 26, Mark chapter 14, John chapter 12, Luke chapter 7 we just read, all the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, they are reporting about this woman, a woman who brought alabaster jar of very expensive perfume. You know, the reason actually I put the Matthew and Mark in the same line while the John and Luke, the differently. Matthew, Mark, they're very identical. They're almost the same. They're almost the same story, just the two words are different. Other than that, they are same story. And then John and Luke, they're very different, so I put it that way. But I want to test your Bible knowledge. So first of all, what do you know about this woman? What do you know about the woman who brought the alabaster jar of very expensive perfume? Who was she? What's her identity? Anything you know about her? She is what? Pharisees? Mary's sister. Okay, she's Mary's sister. The one thing we came up. What other things? She's a sinner. Okay. You haven't heard about her? She's a prostitute. Yes. What else? Is she Mary Magdalene? Okay. She's Mary's sister, Mary Magdalene. Okay. You know the one youth worship, when I asked it, the one guy actually altar answered, is she the one who's supposed to be stoned? So, you know that. So now a lot of women's story in the Bible is mixed in the here. Like most of them quite not right. So let's talk about who this woman is. You guys are very confused about this woman, but all these four books are reporting about this woman. So first scene, Matthew chapter 26, Mark chapter 14. Okay, let's say it like this. While Jesus was in the Bethany in the home of a man known as Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume. And so she is described as both of Matthew and Mark is a woman. And we don't know anything about her other than a woman. Okay? It doesn't say her name. It doesn't say her character, whether she's a sinner or not. It's just a woman. That's it. That's a Matthew and Mark. Okay? And John actually say it's a Mary. Not Mary's sister, but Mary. Mary took about a pint of the pure nard on expensive perfumes. She poured it on Jesus' feet. So it's a Mary. So we have to answer Mary's sister, Mary Magdalene is similar, but she's not Mary Magdalene. You know, actually people confuse she's a Mary Magdalene because the next passage, if we read it later, book of Luke says she's a simple woman. And a lot of people think a simple woman, or maybe Mary Magdalene. Okay, simple woman, they think, simple woman, what does simple woman mean? Oh, prostitute. So simple woman, prostitute, and that's a Mary Magdalene. That's a people's analogy, let's go that way. But by the way, Mary Magdalene ever described as a simple woman in the Bible. She was the one that Jesus expelled, drive out 7 demons from her. Doesn't mean she was a sinner or prostitute. So Mary Magdalene, she's actually not here. Mary Magdalene is the one that really had a close relationship with Jesus, and she was on the first witness of resurrection. Jesus drove out 7 demons from this woman, but Mary Magdalene was not a sinner. And this Mary is not Mary Magdalene. She's Mary, sister of Martha and Lazarus. Actually, so this is not the Mary's sister, but this is a Mary who's Martha's sister. Okay? And we know something about Martha and Lazarus. Lazarus is the one, Jesus' friend, who died, and Jesus raised him 3 days later. That's Lazarus. And then Lazarus has two sisters, Martha and Mary. And you know, on another occasion, that Martha and Mary, they came to Jesus, and Martha was a hard worker, and then Mary liked to listen to Jesus' sermon. You know, the another story, you know that. She's that Mary. The Mary, Martha's sister, and that Lazarus' sister. She's not sinner, and she's not prostitute. She's a very decent woman in good Jewish family. Where did she pour on oil? Feet. Here it says a feet, but actually some people are confused because it was a head, because Matthew and Mark, it was head. She brought the very expensive oil. She poured on Jesus' head. That's Matthew and Mark. And Book of John says she poured this, the oil on Jesus' feet and wiped his feet with her hair. So there are small variation here. Okay, let's go to common thing. So common thing, we didn't go to Luke yet, but Matthew, Mark, John, they were reporting about this woman. Her identity was not clear. But when she poured out this expensive perfume, that's the common thing. She poured out expensive perfume. That's the common thing for all four books. What was the people's response? How people responded when she poured the expensive perfume? They were very angry. But who are those people who are very angry? Depending on story. Oh, now you got a smarter. Okay, depends on story. But I wanted to hear that, right? Okay, so the Matthew and Mark, it was a disciples. So okay, Matthew, it was disciples, and Mark, there's a small variation between Matthew and Mark. Mark, it says it's a some of those present there. So it's a more inclusive term. Some of those present there. So they may be disciples are one of them. So disciples and some of those present there, they were very angry. Scripture says indignant. And why is this waste, right? So why this waste? And they brought up about this money should be used for the poor people instead of you just waste it. And then Matthew said it was a high price, and Mark said it's 300 denarii. That's a year's wages. So these are, so today's money about $30,000 or $60,000. You just pour it out $60,000. What a waste. They were kind of very angry. Okay, so Matthew and Mark, it was the disciples, and some of those were present there. Maybe they're same. And in John, it was Judas Iscariot, right? So John 12, Judas Iscariot, who was later betrayed Jesus, this guy. And he said the same thing. Why wasn't this perfume sold and the money given to the poor? It was worth of a year's wages. That's a common thing here, right? But there's one more thing added here. Because Judas Iscariot, is a bad guy, John interpreted him. He said that not because he took care of poor people, but because he's a thief. And if the woman gave the offering to Jesus, maybe he could take the money for himself. So Judas Iscariot brought this thing. So there's a small variation in interpretation, right? So there is a difference between these three books, but there are common thing again. One of the common thing we already checked. She's the one who pour out, who throw away very expensive perfume for Jesus. And to her, all three books, Jesus' response is the same. There's no difference in Jesus' response. Leave her alone. And Jesus said this. To those who, whether it was the disciples or those who were present there or Judas Iscariot, Jesus said, the poor you will always have with you, but you will not have always me. When she poured out this perfume on my body, whether head or feet, she did it to prepare me for burial. This answers all three books, Matthew, Mark, John. Jesus said the same thing. So what Jesus said is not different. And here that we can feel a little strange what you just said, because if the story was opposite, I think it's more makes sense. If she poured out the oil and disciples said, "Whoa, good job, woman, that you pour out the expensive perfume for our master," and Jesus said, "No, this is not the right way to use the money and then perfume. Use this money for the poor people." If Jesus said that, that made more sense considering the character Jesus we know, right? And the Good Samaritan story, there was the holy people who try to worship God more than help the people who are robbed. And Jesus said, no, the true worship to God is that you help the people there. right? And you know the Matthew chapter 26, 20, the 6 that 25, if I remind you, there was a story that at the end of the world, there was a king, that means God or Jesus, put all the people, the right side and left side. The right side is a sheep, left side is a goat, right side the righteous people, left side is evil people. And to the right side of people, Jesus said, good job. When I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was a stranger, you invited me in. And when I needed clothes, you clothed me. When I sick, you looked after me. And then when I'm in prison, you came to visit me. And these, all the righteous people, they answered, when did we do that? And then, Jesus, the king, replied, I tell you the truth, whatever you did for the one of the least of these brothers of mine, which means poor people, people in need, people marginalized, if you do good things for these poor people, the least of my brothers, then that's the one you did to me. So considering Jesus' teaching and, character, he should have taken care of the poor people more than himself. But why in today's passage Jesus said, poor is always with you, but I'm not actually focused on me, right? By the way, if we really think that disciples, they took care of the poor people, not unlike Judas Iscariot, okay? So if Matthew and Mark, those people who said, why this is wasting? Why didn't you sell this thing and then took care of the poor people? Those people, if there are those people in our world and today is now here, they're righteous people. Those are people who try to take care of the poor people, who do the good thing for the people in need. They're righteous people, okay? And Judas Iscariot, on the contrary, he's an evil person. He pretended he tried to take care of the poor people, but actually he was greedy. He tried to take the money for himself. He's a very selfish people. He is a representative of the evil people. So Matthew and Mark is righteous people there, and then John is the evil people there. They responded to what she did, but strangely again, both of righteous people in this world and evil people who are totally opposite in this world, they hold the same response to Jesus, you're not right. Whether you're right in this world or wrong this way, anyway, you're not doing the right thing. You are focusing on something else, not me. Actually, I gave this sermon a year ago. Do you know why I gave this sermon a year ago about something happened a year ago? Joanna, what happened about this time of year last year? You don't remember? Yeah, Joanna's father passed away. Okay, that's the last year. And actually, I gave this sermon last year because of Joanna's father passed away. What happened there? Eddie and Joanna's father passed away, and there was a random guy from random church came, and he had to fill out the death certificate. And I thought, whoa, it's good that was actually what I supposed to help, but this random guy come to help this family, so it's good. And after that, 2 hours later, he charged $500 for what he did. And I was angry. That I just could help for 30 minutes, and then why this guy charged the $500? By the way, who's supposed to pay the $500? Do I pay? No, the Joanna and Eddie paid. But why was I angry it was not money? Because anyway, it was money. I'm angry if it was money, right? So I was angry that why this guy charges $500? It shouldn't happen. I called actually pastor of that guy's church. I called the pastor, like, that your member came to my members, the Father's Spirit, the bed, and then he did this thing. Did you know that? Actually, I did that. Again, it's not about money, but I was angry, right? And Joanna and Eddie said, Pastor, don't do that, okay? Or just pay. We just want to have this moment precious. Our father passed away. We want to focus on him. I think even if he charged $2,000, they will just pay. We don't want to bother. We don't want to be bothered by money. We just want to take care of our father at the last moment. Understandable, right? So because of that occasion that I shared this passage last year, I was focusing on money or something else, but the family, those who love the person, they were focusing on that person. So while the disciples were in the Jesus Christ, they were not focusing on him. They were focusing on something else. And again, this something else could be very good thing in this world, taking care of the poor, or evil thing, the selfish reason, but it doesn't matter. We are always busy to do something because we have a desire to achieve something. And even if you come to the church and then you want to do something, oh, through the worship, I'm going to the mission trip, I want to achieve something. I'm trying to help people, I'm doing something good. We have a desire that we want to do something good, but what's the true desire of to do good? That's just something we need to ask it. And people's case, they just want to achieve something, and whether it's helping the poor or that's just selfish reason, they want you to do it. And God's concern is not what we will achieve, what we will do. God's concern is us. I want you to be changed. I don't want you to change the world, but I want you to be changed. That's God's concern. So God brought up that if you don't focus on me, you cannot change yourself. You keep thinking about to do something great, but that doing something great is not the true thing that I actually asking you to do it. Because of that, whether whatever we do at our church or even helping the poor, if we do as achievement, the more you serve, the more you go to mission trip, the more you do the praise team, the more you help the poor people, in your heart you have a self-righteousness. I'm a person who help the poor. I'm a person who will come to worship well. I'm a person who go to mission trip or church retreat. Or, in other way, you can start thinking about the efficiency. If I go to mission trip, what can I get? I'm giving like $1,000 for that. What can I get? Oh, church retreat is coming. It's $70 or $103. If I go to church retreat, can I get as much as this $130, whether spiritual gift or whatever I can get it? If people focus on what they can get, they either be in the trap of the efficiency, whatever they can, or the self-righteousness. So Jesus was teaching us, no, not the good thing or bad thing doesn't matter, but you need to focus on me when you are with me. This thing actually I preached last year, so I just remind you. So today, I want to go over the fourth story. Again, the Matthew, Mark, John, they are different, very similar. And it was about the woman who poured the expensive jar, and people responded a certain way. Now let's go to the fourth story, book of Luke. Okay? Book of Luke says like this. Now one of the Pharisees invited Jesus to have dinner with him. So he went to the Pharisee's house and reclined at the table when a woman who had lived a simple life. Now, at last, we have this woman. The woman who makes you confused, thinking that she's a Mary Magdalene, she's a prostitute, she's the one supposed to be stoned. This is the woman. Because this say that she is a simple woman. Again, the Matthew, John, Mark, they did not report it was a simple woman. It was a decent woman, the Mary, Martha's sister. But now we meet this woman who was a simple woman. And then she heard Jesus come. She came to the Pharisee's house. Same thing is, again, the very expensive alabaster jar perfume. She brought it. And what she did was a little different. As you can see, she did not put on the oil on Jesus' head or feet. But she came to Jesus. She began to wet Jesus' feet with her tears, and she wiped them with her hair and kissed them and poured the perfume on them. Little different, right? But I don't want to focus on the little difference what she did. But important thing I want to talk about now. So she did that. What was the people's response? And who was the one who responded this time? It was a Pharisee who invited Jesus Christ. So what was all the three responses, Matthew, Mark, and John? What a waste, right? Now it's a Pharisee's turn to say, what a waste. But what a waste is not here. Nobody bring up the what a waste. Instead of what a waste, now Pharisee, who had invited Jesus, saw this, and instead of saying what a waste, why she poured out this expensive perfume, instead of thinking that way, he said to himself, if this man were a prophet, he would know who is teaching him, who is touching him, and what kinds of woman she is. She is a sinner. Why this Pharisee was not talking about money? Why he was not thinking about waste? Why the subject all of a sudden has been changed from money, expensive perfume, waste to sinners? Because if it is a matter of a sin, money doesn't matter anymore. sin is beyond the money matter. Sin is much more important than money matter. So she was wasting money, same with the first three women, and she was pouring the expensive perfume. She was just wasted it. But more important thing, this Pharisee saw, no, she's a sinner. Yeah, she's wasting money. That's something wrong. But I don't care even about that thing, because the more the evil, hideous things, she is a sinner. So he was focusing on sinner. And because this guy did not bring up the money, now Jesus didn't have to talk about the poor people or rich people. He just responded, this guy. So she's a sinner? Okay, then Jesus answered, Simon, Pharisee, I have something to tell you. Tell me, teacher. There were two men owed money to a certain money lender. One owed him 500 denarii and the other 50. Neither of them had the money to pay him back, so he canceled the debt of the both. Now, which one of them will love him more? Simon replied, I suppose the one who had the bigger debt and canceled. You have judged correctly. And Jesus said, this is what you have done and just what she have done. So the Jesus' conclusion is, now I tell you, her many sins has been forgiven. For she loved much, but she who has been forgiven little loved less. And Jesus said to her, your sins are forgiven. The story beginning was very similar. There was a woman who brought a very expensive perfume jar. There's one thing just added. She was a simple woman in Book of Luke. But the end of the story, it was unfolded totally differently. It's not about the wasting. It's not about the money. It's about sin, forgiveness, and love. Now there's a totally different story. How did this thing happen? The one thing was very clear that it was only one word. She was a simple woman. The first woman, whether it was Mary or whether it was just a woman, important thing about the normal people, it's about money. Again, I'm even angry about the money, even it's not money because people wasted it, right? If it's just a normal, it doesn't matter. The important thing us in our life is the secular thing, worldly thing, money or our success or whatever. But it's a matter of a sin. All story has been changed. I shared a month ago, I visited a Korean church. There was a revival. Do you remember the story? That I went to the Korean church. There was a revival. There's a Pastor Park. He was a medical doctor. He sold everything he had, and then he lived for poor people for more than 20 years, lived with the homeless and all the people in miserable situation that he lived for them, giving everything he had. And he also, in the worship, he introduced this guy. He's a missionary, Kim. He was also a medical doctor. He gave up all his successful life, and he went to Africa, and he got got something, MS, the certain disease there. Anyway, there's a very story that they are devoted to sacrificial life story. And when I went to there, I was hearing those story, and it really touched my heart. And sometimes good story touched my heart, and this time was more than touching my heart. It made me feel guilty. I thought, wow, that's true Christian life. We should have loved like him. I should have loved like him, giving everything what I have to the poor and listening, obeying the God's commandment, go to the other place to serve the Lord as a missionary. I should have lived like this, but I could not live like that. Once in a while, my sins are revealed. When I live with the people like around me, they are like me. I just compare myself. I'm like them. We are just a little better, a little worse. It's okay. When I meet true Christian, who's living the true, who's practicing Jesus' true love, my sins are revealed. And I found, wow, that's the true way to live. That's the way I should have responded to God's love. I'm a sinner. And when I feel I'm a sinner, if you feel really you are a sinner, what will be the next thing you would like to do? You want to do something about your sin. You really want to do that. So I made a commitment that day during the worship. God, sorry, I was so greedy. I was holding my money. Just look at the pastor who gave everything what he had. I'm going to give him big money. So I made a certain decision. This amount of money I will give away to the people who in need. And when I prayed that, there were few people come in my list. And one of the people was the homeless near my church. So I said, okay, I'm going to bank now. I'm going to everything that I can, I will give it to the homeless. And I did. But I knew the one thing already was just my smart brain was quickly running things. This is 10 p.m. I'm going to ATM. Maximum money I can get is 300, not more than that. So even if I pray that everything I can get, I will give that person, I knew that I'm not going to give more than 300, right? But anyway, that's what I did. And also there was a couple people in my heart, I'm going to give money to this person, I'm going to give money to this person. And I found one of the people was in my list, just come up in my heart, was richer than me. And I thought, why this guy came in my heart? I thought, why should I give money to this person? He's richer than me. Why money, I do give money to the person richer than me, right? And by the way, when you try to help the homeless, what's the reason that usually you do not give big money to homeless? Because you do not love them? What's your reason? Because you know, if you give big money to them, usually they go to get the alcohol, right? So I usually do not give big money to the homeless, but that day, I just touched my heart. I felt sinners. Okay, I will do what I should have done before. So I went to the ATM. I got the money and everything. So I gave him, again, it was about only $300. And I just started giving the money that I, what I made a commitment. When I decided to do that, why was I not thinking about efficiency? Again, usually when I try to help the homeless, I'm trying to think smartly. I should buy the food or try to find a job for them instead of giving money because they're gonna just get the alcohol, right? Or when I give money, I think I should give the more poorer people, more effective way who really need the money, not the people who have more money than me. But it didn't matter. Whatever way I use the money, it didn't matter because at that time I felt I should give money, the money that I should have given to the other people. That's the debt. If we have a debt, we want to pay back the debt. And you know, if you truly love, if you feel like Jesus' love in your life, then that's the way you want to pay back. Not because you think, I want to achieve something. I want to be a better person. This is my money. If I give it to them, maybe ministry will go well. And if I go to mission trip paying this much, maybe I can get this spiritual gift. This is not about achievement. Because you are so demanding that you are a sinner. I have to do something my sin. I just want to give. And in that case, your motivation, center of motivation, is Jesus Christ, not your self-righteousness or some of the desire of achievement. We all know that yesterday there was Jane's memorial service, right? It was a good service, as Matthew said. It was full of people here, and someone came to me and said, wow, Jane lived a really good life. Look at so many people who came from LA, came from New York, and all those friends. And I agree with that. I think if I die, I'm not sure my friends in Oakland will come down here. Maybe they'll think, oh, drive 1 hour to go to Justin's funeral. I don't know. I mean, I definitely think not many people like that will come to my funeral. Jane was very special, and she made the people feel that she loved them, right? And I had many chance to talk with Jane about how her life is, and usually she says like this: I received so much. Jane went through some difficult time in her life when she was young, and her life got much better. And she keeps saying, my life was very tough, but God blessed me so much. I received so much, so I want to give back to what I received. God blessed me this much, so it's right that I give back to the other people. So it's not about her achievement about life. It's not about her righteousness. Because of that of love that she felt from God, she just had to give away to other people like this. Jesus is not telling you do not help the poor people. Jesus is not telling you it's wrong that you serve the church and you go to a mission trip. Just he's focusing, he's challenging one thing. What is your motivation? Do you just want to be good? You want to use your money efficiently, effectively at the church and want to achieve something and you want to be a good person? Is that the reason you come to the church? Or because you felt God's love so overwhelmingly, and this love, you feel like a debt. A person like me who do not deserve God's love, God gave his son, Jesus Christ, he died for me. I don't deserve this love. But I feel this love is too much. I have debt. Because of this love, I need to do something because of this love. Jesus wants that Jesus is the center of your life. That God's love through Jesus Christ is the center of life. And do whatever you do, whether helping the poor, serving the others, and then doing the ministry, start from there the death of the love in your heart because of God did already through Jesus Christ. And when you do that, that is a true love, which is not going for the efficiency or effectiveness or even self-righteous, but true love of Jesus Christ as a response of God's true love. Let's pray.